would call to order the Village of Westmont Planning and Zoning Commission for our regular meeting here Wednesday, April 10th, 2024. Acting Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
Trustee Barry, absent. Trustee Scales, absent. Trustee Lavoy.
Here.
Trustee Zakuri.
Here.
Trustee Thomas is absent. Trustee, no, I'm sorry, Trustee Peterson. Here. Chairperson Carmichael.
Here. All right, we have a quorum. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And while everyone's standing, anyone who testifies has to be sworn in, so please raise your right hand and swear that any and all testimony you provide tonight will be the complete truth. Thank you. A reminder for everyone in the room, please silence all your electronic devices. And again, another reminder that anyone who testifies needs to sign in with name and contact information either out in the hallway or here at the podium. Next item is the approval of the minutes from the March 13th, 2024 regular meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, Lavoy,
Lavoy,
second,
yeah.
Gutierrez.
Second, Zakiri.
Okay,
Okay.
second is Zakiri.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes approved. Just quickly, I'd like to review the public hearing procedures. First, we'll have the applicant will be introduced and come and make his or her presentation, followed by staff comments, and then anyone from the public who would like to address or question the petitioner. It's their chance, and finally the commissioners get a chance to question and make comments, and finally the vote. And I'm sure you're aware, but this is a recommending body only. That however we vote, that vote will go forward to the village board, and you'll be scheduled by staff to appear before the village board for a final say-so. Under old business, I don't believe we have any. So we'll proceed under new business. We have two items. Both of them are related to your development with the BAM Theater. So we're going to open them both together, and then we'll vote on them separately. The first one is a public hearing, PZC 004-2024, a request by BAM Theater Limited Liability Corporation, the petitioner, and Grant Partners, the owner, at 522 North Cass in Westmont for the following: a map amendment request to rezone from Office Research 1 to, district to B2 General Business District. And secondly, a request by BAM Theater and Old National Bank, the owner, at 520 North Cass for the following. First, a map amendment request to rezone from Office Research 1 District to B2 General Business. And secondly, a special use permit request for a performing arts studio. Who would like to come forward for the BAM Theater?
I'll go first.
Good evening.
Good evening. Peter Koulis on behalf of BAM Theater and the other petitioners in this matter. Old National Bank has given permission for us to speak on their behalf, as so has the owner of 522, which is actually a trust that's held and owned by the Phillips family, the same people that own the flower shop right by. Good evening. How are you? So basically, we have two pieces of property. We came first when we came to talk to the village, and Scott was great. We met with Scott Williams a few times over the last year to look at the property that we are here for on 522. Talked a little bit about the zoning as it is presently, which is OR1, what could be done in OR1, what was the comprehensive plan in the village actually showing. And when we got into that discussion about the comprehensive plan, it came up that the comprehensive plan shows this as general business. So we talked about what we could possibly do with that property, because nothing needs to happen to the actual structure itself at the actual bank building. So there's no variances that are being sought when we are here or going in front of the village. It's being able to be utilized the way it is. All the work is on the inside and maybe replacing a door, because it's a bank door versus, a public type regular entry door. So we talked a little bit, and Scott mentioned that the property next door, going towards where everyone else is in the B2 district, when you get up to Ogden and to the corners of Ogden. Actually, I had surgery at that corner, so I know the corner pretty well. And that, everything buddy on there and along Ogden on the whole south side is all B2. So one of the requests was, Melanie contacted one of the members of the Phillips family and said, hey, you have the vacant parcel next door. You're basically .48 acres. What is your intent? We'll pay for it. They're paying for it. We'll represent you. We'll come here and ask for that also to go compliant with the actual comprehensive plan and bring them both in at the same time. The properties around this property are mainly B2 when you go to the north, especially. When you go to the south, there's a couple more that are still OR1 that are vacant, actually. There's one that has a little house on it, but I don't think anyone's actually in there running a business anymore. And then we get to the actual fire station. And all these properties along this way abut behind them to residential. The building itself on this property, the bank building, is about 250 feet from the back of its property line, and those houses are about another 200 feet. So we have over a football field away. There's drawings, and I don't want to touch it.
You can touch it, yep. Just the arrows,
Nothing's
or
happening.
maybe click it.
Look, which-
Yeah, like there.
No, nothing's happening. I think I broke your computer, so sorry. I want to go past that one. Let's keep going down to those other drawing. Okay, we'll go up. We show the properties. That's good, right there. So basically, this is what I'm talking about with the actual village, the way it is. So the one request is for both of those properties to come in and first of all be rezoned to B2. Then we want to take the further step on the bank property. The bank property basically vacated their use during COVID. This in 1999 came in as a bank property. It's been, I think it's 4 or 5 different banks through the years of knowing the bank area pretty well. And that property is approximately 1.5 acres, give or take a little bit less. And the way they had it being done before, on the north end of the property, you would actually, wait to the site plan on that. I'll go back one. You used to be able to go in and out on both sides on the north end and just go out, exit on the south end of the bank. The intent is to change that flow because everyone's getting dropped off at that back door. The request, it can be a condition, is to have everybody enter through the north entrance, go around the building, drop everyone off at the one door, and then go and leave on the south edge of the property. It's much safer. There's no stacking out on the street. I know there's been some conversations, and I've passed it. You have a dance studio in downtown, and sometimes when people are getting dropped off, it gets a little more hectic. That's why our clients have not looked near the downtown district. They are also not a renter. Melanie and her husband are looking, and Alex are looking not to rent this property. They are under contract with a contingency to buy this property. And they're going to put a lot of money into the interior part of this property. So to go for a special use, which is allowed and permitted in the B2 district, we had certain things we have to meet in the criteria. I can go through them all again. I submitted them all in the plans, but we basically are, it's not detrimental and dangerous. That's one of the reasons why we picked a property that doesn't have people being dropped off on any kind of street and the like. It's all an internal property. These are students that are in grade school, middle school, and high school that come there for training. This company, BAM Theater, is not something new. We're going to let Melanie come up, and she's going to be much better than I because she's, a thespian by trade, so, I'm just the second show. But they've been in business 15 years. They've been doing this in 3 different towns and renting properties. They've actually also rented the Westmont High School in the past to do some of their actual, about 5 or 6 times a year they have actual performances, besides the training and the like, and they do competitions around the country. So basically it's no safety issue. There's no traffic issue. We have people here from KLA who did the traffic study. We were asked to do a traffic study, we did a traffic study. There's no problem at all with pickup and drop off by how much use is at this property. Then we also went out and looked at,
Would you expand on the pickup and drop off? The depiction we're looking at here, is that the way they'll be coming
That is
in
the
the
way it's
north?
gonna be.
And the drop off will be on the west side of the building?
The main door is right here.
Uh-huh.
That's where all the pickup and drop off would happen is, right
And
there.
your name, sir?
I'm Alex.
Alex?
Yeah.
BAM Theater, one of the
I-
people buying the
we know,
property.
we need,
Oh, sorry, Alex Harriet, I don't know, member of BAM?
all right, thank you.
So that's, and they're met by actual teachers or, I don't know what you want to call them, instructors for the students. So that's where they're all going to come. They're going to come in, go around, there's one main door, everyone's going to be dropped off at that door. We're not touching the drive-through or anything along those lines. The whole property, it's not being used as a drive-through, of course, but we're leaving the property as it is at this point in time. If there's ever an intent to take it down or do anything along those lines, they'll come back in for site plan approval or anything else they need to do, and understand that they have to get permits and go through the village ideas, but that's not in the making right now. This is not going to decrease anyone's property values. Schools and the use of schools around properties always has shown that when they're in neighborhoods, it's the best place for them to be. Because the uses, when you have kids that are this age, no one's there really late at night, no one's loitering. These are not kids that are there because they have to be there. They are kids that are there because they want to be there. We have people that are going to talk tonight. There are many people from Westmont that are actually part of this program and have been for a long time. And I'm happy to see some of the parents showed up tonight because they knew about we were going to be here today. But no change of utilities, no change of power, no change of curb cuts, so none of that is happening. Ingress and egress we talked about. We all believe it's safer to, even though they had a right to use both ways on the north side, keep it the one way. Willing to make that a condition. That's the beauty we all know of the special use. With respects to conform, we're far enough away from the residential. There's no problem with traffic. The traffic people are here to testify to that. If any questions come up, we do understand that we can only have so many seats for the actual time that we want to have productions. We meet the criteria of what was originally designed. We have no problem putting a condition on this property that says they have to meet with staff to have the number of seats be built that are compliant with the village code. Because right now, we meet village code. We could actually add spots if the village wants us to in the drive-through area. Because it's 1 per 5 for seats. We match that, that's not a problem. We could add more in the drive-through. If that still does not remedy any situation, and we wanted to increase the number of seats we can have inside that the village wants us to have, they are willing to go look at their neighbors to try to rent spaces, if necessary, for those 5 or 6 shows a year. So no problem with the condition towards parking for when they want to have the shows. It's compliant now with the size it's actually designed, but until they get in there and start really building it out and submitting the final plans for the use of that room, we think that it's great that staff would have a say in allowing us for how many seats we can put actually in the theater. That's not a
Have
problem.
you spoken with neighbor, for example, regarding overflow parking?
Yes, we have had initial
Okay,
conversations
okay.
about that, yes.
It has come from the podium, but
Sorry. Go ahead, Melanie, say who you are, because you're going to talk to.
Hi, my name is Melanie Lamoureux, and yes, we have had some very preliminary discussions with the owners of Phillips Flowers about the possibility of some sort of shared parking agreement for select performance nights.
excellent, thank you very much.
So they went out and they talked to the neighbors, and that's why one of the neighbors is here. So as I said, they've been in use for 15 years, they've been in this business. We went out and had the traffic study done. They can't be any louder than a fire department 2 doors away to any of the neighbors. Kids they're not that loud when they get out to get into their cars to go home. And the hours, I'll let Melanie talk about. It's already in the program, but let Melanie talk a little bit about her school because it's exceptional. They've won national awards. It's not just a fly-by-night performance facility. And we're here to answer any and all questions anyone has. And as I stated, we're not looking for any variances.
Thank you.
Okay. Hello, Melanie Lamoureux. I am the owner and artistic director of BAM Theater. I'm going to go back in this presentation just a little bit so that I can follow my notes. All right. So BAM was founded in 2001, so we're actually coming into our 24th year. I started the program myself when I was 13 years old. I was inspired by the school musical that I had just been a part of, and me and two friends, their names were Becky and Allie. My name is Melanie. That's how my dad decided that we were going to call ourselves BAM. We decided to put on our own musical. We rehearsed in our parents' backyards, in their basements. We convinced one of the local schools to let us use their cafeteria. We got 15 kids literally by riding our bikes down the streets, passing out flyers to join our show, and we did it, and it was very, very bad. But over the past 24 years, we have built an incredible program. Every year, we started understanding what it meant to produce theater. And as I continued to build BAM into the company that it is today, I also pursued my education. I'm a graduate of Hinsdale Central. I was very active in their performing arts programs. And then I went to the University of Toronto, where I studied music education. And then immediately after graduating, I went to the Boston Conservatory to pursue a master's in theater, and most recently went to Northwestern to get my master's of music education and my Illinois teacher certificate. And every single year, what I would learn at school, I would infuse back into the curriculum at BAM. And then I was so lucky to have that direct application experience to put back into my studies at school. So yes, in the last 24 years, we have built our company into something that is huge and really groundbreaking in the performing arts, and especially the educational performing arts circuit. We are nationally recognized, and we are an award-winning organization, the only award-winning organization that is based in the western suburbs of Chicago. We provide high-quality performing arts programming, and we have done that since 2001. We offer classes, we offer productions, we offer competitive training programs, and we also offer private lessons as well. In addition to all of the in-house programs that we run, we partner with over 20 different local schools in the western suburbs to offer after-school programming right at those own schools. And in total of all the programs that we run, we involve over 3,000 students every single year. Cool. There is a link if you want to read a little bit more about our history and our philosophy. But what makes BAM special? There are so many different performing arts studios and dance studios in the area, but BAM is truly one of a kind. We, this year, did something incredibly exciting. We have been going to the Junior Theater Festival, which is an internationally acclaimed celebration of musical theater for young people. We've been attending for the past 3 years. Every year, one of the main events at the festival is to announce and premiere newly released musicals that have been adapted for young performers. And the theater festival hand selects groups to premiere these musicals. This year, just a few months ago, we took 35 young students, one of whom is here today, and we also have another dad representing another student who went with us, 35 students and their families to California to premiere the all-new release of Alice in Wonderland Jr., and it was an incredible experience. So that just gives an idea of some of the unique programming that we offer the students of our programs. Additionally, like I said, we are the only performing arts organization in the Chicagoland area to offer programming that engages directly with schools in our communities, which I think is really, really special. And we involve students from over 50 different surrounding towns, which is incredible. So not only are we pulling directly from the western suburbs, Hinsdale, Clarendon Hills, Westmont, Downers Grove, that's kind of like our main reach, but we also expand as far west as Aurora. We have students who come from Chicago. We have students who come from the North Shore. This summer, we even have students who are coming out of state to participate in some of our summer camp programs, which is really exciting. All right, so as we've been discussing, we are looking to find a home for our business. We've been in existence the last 24 years by renting space from various churches and different dance studios, some in Westmont. And we are ready. We've built our program so that it is a very vibrant environment, and we are ready to have a place that we call home. We're very excited about this building at 520 North Cass, and we think it will be the perfect space for us. So the proposed space would include a performance space, a small performance space, and a lobby, additional rehearsal spaces, and then finally some offices, restrooms, all of those extra little rooms that we would need to have. I'm not going to go too far into detail about the benefits for the community, but the arts is so important, especially in a young person's life. It gives them a voice so that they feel confident that they can do what they want to do. They are able to achieve a goal, and it gives them a voice to speak and show their mind. And that's something that BAM is really good about. It's not just about putting on a spectacle of a show, which we do very well, but it's about building strong-minded citizens of the world. And our students come to us and they are full of integrity, and they're just wonderful people. The arts enrich culture. We will engage citizens. It boosts the economy. We are an educationally based organization. So there's incredible benefits for the community as a whole. There was an economic impact study that was done a few years ago in Elmhurst, because they are trying to build a much larger performance venue downtown. And the results of that study, this was conducted in 2016, so it's a little outdated, so I would imagine the numbers would be much higher now, but 2016 and 22. So for every individual attendance, that would generate approximately $65 of spending. All right, let's talk about our hours of operation. So we meet after school hours because our kids are in school. So from September through May, during the school year, our programs primarily meet Mondays through Fridays in the late afternoon and evening times, 4 to 9 p.m. We are very active on Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then Sundays, 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. These are our current hours that we've been utilizing based off of the space agreements that we have today. And then in the summertime, June through August, we run summer camp programs, and we have main stage productions. So those hours are pretty extensive, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. During the weekday evening classes, we typically average approximately 12 students per class, with 1 to 2 staff members present. And then productions involve a little bit more people, and summer camps as well. Those average 40 students per cast, with a total of 2 to 4 staff present. All right, performance weekends. So I want to emphasize that BAM primarily operates as a school, and our financial reports will prove that to you. What we do is we provide training and classes, but being that we are a performing arts studio, we do have final performances, but they aren't happening every single day. They're not happening every single weekend. This past year, these 6 weekends were the weekends that we had performances. So we had one mid-November, we had a 2-night feature late November, we had one spring production early March, again, a 2-night feature 1 week later in March, and then we have 2 summer productions planned. So performances typically are held Thursday, Friday, Saturday evenings, and then with the possibility of a Saturday and Sunday matinee performance. And depending on the size and the scale of the show, any production that we produce might have anywhere between 1 and 4 performances. All right, so here are some preliminary plans that we have received from our architect, which are very exciting to take a peek at. So this is the main floor of the building with the entrance right here. So we're looking at having the lobby be the main, thing that you walk into. And then this picture shows an auditorium on the south side of the building with approximately 150 seats. We have a little control room in the back. That's where we'll operate all of the sound and lighting from. And then we have some backstage areas with a full corridor that surrounds the back of the house. On the second floor upstairs, we will plan to have 2 rehearsal studios, some smaller offices for private lessons, and then some office space for administrative needs. And then in the basement, oops, that's not the right picture. That is the same picture as the second floor. My apologies. I will describe the basement. We will have 1 large rehearsal studio, and then we will have some smaller rooms that we will use for storage. And then there are restrooms currently situated on both the basement and the second floor, and there's 1 single stall on the main floor. Okay. We've sort of already discussed parking, pickup, and drop-off. But just to reiterate, the intended plan, and of course open to any advice, is to have all of our guests enter through the south part of the north part of the building, and then drop off at the main entrance, and then continue around so that we have 1 streamlined line of traffic at all times. Pickup and drop off, with the size of the programming that we have built, especially in our summertime programs, has become a paramount topic of discussion amongst our staff. And we really train our instructors and our administrative team to ensure the safety of pickup and drop-off. So in the summertime, we have summer camps where 30 students are arriving. We typically will have a window of 15 to 20 minutes of drop-off time so that it's not everybody arriving right at the last minute. Last year, during the summertime, I kind of stood out there in preparation for what this year would bring to gauge the line of cars, and we would average 4 to 6 cars in that pickup line and drop-off line at any given time during those major turnaround moments. We also have staff that we train to be very diligent about meeting the students and walking them to the right space. So you can kind of see on one rainy day last summer, some of our team members in the colorful tie-dyed shirts meeting the students from their cars and then making sure that they entered the building safely. And then what's not pictured there is we also have staff members throughout the interior of the building to make sure the students get to their final destination.
You do or do not normally have staff outside the building when drop-offs are occurring?
No, we do.
You
Yes.
do.
We
Okay.
do for, depending on the program. If it's a private lesson, we're not going to station 1 person out there to welcome 1 student, But if we are welcoming a group of students who are on the younger side, that's a larger group, we will ensure that we have people stationed in the right place to make sure that drop-off goes super safely. Yeah. Right. That is about all that I had to say. These are some pictures from some exciting things that we did.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Staff, comments?
Yes, thank you. So I'm going to walk us through both properties and kind of how they got to here. They briefly touched on it, but I'll try to speak to it. So the petitioner already noted that we have the 2 cases tonight that are related to an adjacent property to the north at 522 and 520 North Cass. And we've opened both cases because they are very similar in their requests and they're related. One is for, or both are proposing rezonings, and then one is for the special use request for the performing arts studio. So just to talk a little bit about the properties themselves, 522 North Cass is a vacant lot, which is located just north of the bank and is owned by Phillips Flowers. There are no improvements on the property currently, and there's nothing being proposed for development on the site as of now. 520 North Cass, which is where the former bank sits, that site was first approved in 1999 under First DuPage Bank, and prior to that was a single-family home that was located on the property, actually this property and the property to the south. At that time, when the bank requested their approvals, the property was already zoned OR1, and they actually had to ask for a text amendment to allow a bank and ATM facilities as well. So that bank was never inherently a part of permitted use in the OR1 district at that time. As they noted, the property has since changed hands multiple times, multiple banks. The last occupant was Old National Bank about a year or two ago. However, since 2023, the property has been sitting vacant and has been up for lease and sale since then. BAM Theater approached the village about a year ago, and they were looking at various properties throughout the village, not just this one. But they did settle on this one because it serves some of their needs that they saw as the best fit for them. However, the current zoning for the OR1 district does not allow the use that they are requesting, the performing arts studio. So staff informed them that they had two routes to request what they were looking for. One was to do a text amendment for the OR1 district, and the other route was to do a rezoning and then a special use permit request, which is what they ended up doing. Staff recommended they go this route because the comprehensive plan is in line with that, and then also the OR1 district's intent is for offices, similar institutions related to that. So that's why they went this route for the requests. The rezoning request, when we get a rezoning request from the staff level, the first thing we do, as I noted, we go look at a comprehensive plan to see what we're planning to have developed there. In this case, 520 and 522 both indicate, or the comprehensive plan indicates that they are for general commercial, and the proposed B2 zoning would be in line with the comprehensive plan and their request. What that means is they didn't have to request a map amendment to the comprehensive plan as well, which we've had other requests that did have to do that. In this case, the comprehensive plan is in line with their request. The second thing that we look at is if the requested rezoning creates spot zoning. Typically, you don't want spot zoning. You want multiple or the same district within line with other properties. So in this case, 522 North Cass was the odd property out if they made this request at 520 North Cass. That's why we asked them to reach out to Phillips to see if they were willing to request the rezoning. So the rezoning, if approved, the zoning from Ogden down to the bank property would be in line and the same. It wouldn't create any adverse impacts. Getting into the special use, at least, they noted that they had special conditions or special use standards that are listed in the packet. They also had two special conditions. One of the special conditions was this special condition number 1. I'll read it verbatim. It states that such special use may be permitted provided that no building or outdoor portion of the lot contains such use and is located within 100 feet of the residency district. That measurement is measured from the building to the residential property line. And they were, based on the survey, they were in compliance with that special condition. The second special condition is that such special use may be permitted where the owner satisfactorily establishes that there will be no appreciable traffic congestion or hazards to pedestrian safety. They provided a traffic and parking study by KOLA that indicated the proposed use would be accommodated with the existing facilities and the traffic flow and the current street design on Cass. As I said, they provided this responses to the special use standards here, and that we also have the findings of fact that you can look through. The petitioner also indicated that the studio would have classes, workshops, and a theater, as they showed on their floor plan, and which is in the packet, with the limited number of performances throughout the year. The petitioner outlined their yearly schedule in the packet, so you can look and see the exact hours. I won't go through all of them because they vary based on the season. So if you do have questions, I recommend asking them towards the petitioner. The classes, they noted, would be staggered as well to alleviate some traffic congestion concerns along Cass as they come in. And
Say
then,
that again, I didn't understand that.
so staggered start for classes, basically, you wouldn't have people leaving the classes at the same time people being dropped off to alleviate the stress of the cars
Okay.
within the facility. When we have a new use move into a property, we always have to review parking regulations. So the required parking for the proposed use is based on the auditorium in this case, and the number of seats, 1 per 5 seats. In this case, the derived number was 39 parking spaces that were required based on our current code, so they didn't need to seek any variance requests because they have a total of 48 parking spaces, so they'd be in compliance with the current code. However, it's not required that they obtain any off-site parking, but it was recommended by staff that they reach out again to a neighboring property to see if they can accommodate overflow parking, especially when they have those performances, and Cass does not have on-street parking. And as they noted, they've reached out to the neighboring property owner and have started those discussions. They also noted right at the end of their presentation that they're not doing anything physically to the property that would initiate a site plan approval. So we're not approving any site plans tonight or anything like that. There is a site plan from 1999 that's still in effect for the bank property. That's attached to your packet right after the staff report if you do want to look at it. If they ever wanted to, let's say, get rid of the ATM facility or convert any portion of the building or add portions of the building or redesign anything, they'd have to come back in, get approval from planning and zoning and the village board ultimately. But currently, they do not have plans. And I'm open to any questions from the commission.
All right. Thank you. Any questions for staff before we move? Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the commission? Good evening.
Hi, I'm Jim Lesko. I've lived in town since 2010, and actually just reached out to you recently. But I come here, I guess, as a neighbor to the site, a banker, and a patron of BAM. My daughter actually is. She couldn't be here tonight. But I've been in the finance industry for 23 years, and since COVID, I think we've seen the worst office building crisis that we could have ever imagined. These buildings are trading at 10 cents on the dollar, and nobody wants to use them. People are shrinking. I think we are lucky to have somebody like this who wants to occupy a building which is effectively blighted and will bring some life to it. And so I am, as a financier, if I owned this building, I would be thanking my lucky stars a person like this exists to want to buy this building. As a neighbor, I said I lived in Westmont since 2010. I came in front of this body in 2018, 17 maybe, to get a variance to build on a lot in the quadrant that's right behind this building. So I live on Washington Street, so basically 2 blocks away. And as a neighbor, I would be perfectly fine having that there. Much rather have it than the bank building, but also I think people that are investing in our town, like I did, it's great to see, and I would like to see us encourage that investment. And I think this is a great, we call it an adaptive reuse, repurpose of an office building. So as a neighbor, I would love it. As a patron of BAM, my daughter, actually, both of my daughters have performed with BAM, but my oldest daughter has done probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 productions. I can't even count how many, 4 or 5 years. And it's a great organization. I went with this group a few months ago to California, and I watched them compete in front of over 2,000 people. There were groups from various countries at this festival, the Junior Theater Festival. This group was one of 5 that performed. It felt very prestigious. There were New Zealand, Australia, Poland, South Korea. And so this group that could be housed in Westmont would be, it would be a great representation of the town. So it was really amazing to see how competitive Melanie is and the passion she has. And so it was great to see the kids get to be in that environment. So BAM is a great organization, and as a parent, I'm glad my daughter's part of it. And as a townsperson, I would love to see them here, and so should approve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Good evening. If you're all signed in, have at it.
We are signed in, yes. Good evening, my name is Amy Rohde, and this is Joanna and Kevin. We reside at 517 Revere Avenue. And just a little something about BAM. We weren't sure if Joanna was going to be able to come this evening. She is performing in Aladdin at the junior high. And so we said, we're not sure if you're going to be able to come, can you help us? And Joanna actually wrote an entire two-sided paper for us entitled BAM's Notable Attributes to My Life. And so if we're looking for things that are bettering our community, and we can get a 7th grader to do extra homework, and just some of the things she wrote, she has sub-points here, and I won't read everything, but introduced me to a loving community of people, helped me gain confidence, helped me improve in the world of theater. And all in all, BAM is a community of people that gives you tons of tools and incredible opportunities to indulge in the art that is musical theater. We have been just truly blessed to have her as a part of BAM for going on 3 years, I think, and we're very lucky that she is only in 7th grade and that she will have the opportunity to go on through her high school. I see these performances going on downtown Westmont and people going to go visit our restaurants. Of course, we would love BAM to be in Westmont for our commute. But above all, it's just a wonderful, community and organization. And so we're very, to say that it's in Westmont would just be give us so much pride.
I've personally seen our daughter go in the last 3 years from a fairly reserved, kind of introverted, quiet girl to this wonderful, outspoken, confident girl who sings when she walks around the house. I can't get her to shut up half the time. But, I mean, she has blossomed in confidence and just, her presence is so much more vibrant than it was before, and I attribute a lot of that to her experience with BAM Theater. And we're big fans of BAM Theater. We wear our merchandise here today. And we, along with Jimmy, went to the JTF performance in Sacramento in February, and wonderful experience. It was so gratifying to see these girls and boys upstate on stage performing for us, and I would love to do it again. But you want to say anything, Joanna?
BAM is the best, and I love it so much. And the people are really awesome. Like when I went to Sacramento this year, and my friend got an award, I cried really a lot of tears because the people are the best, and just BAM has been a very a big improvement to my life, and I think that it would be great to have it in Westmont. It'd be a very good addition to the community to have these people here.
We'd be very proud to have BAM in Westmont. And as speaking from someone who's lived here my entire life, and the Rohde family has been in Westmont since 1939, so we've been here almost 100 years now as a family. I would be very proud to be able to say BAM is in our hometown.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I guess that's a vote of confidence.
Be a yes.
Anyone else from the public? Good evening, sir.
Hi, how are you? David, Chris? I live at...
Up to the microphone.
I'm kind of big loud anyways. David Christ, I live at 511 North Cass, right across from where they want to be.
Yes.
Everything seems to be amazing. It seems like an amazing place. The town can always use extra things. Where we live, as you know, that burnt next door to us, that building, all we kept hearing is good neighbors, good neighbors, good neighbors. Well, them people weren't good neighbors. They tore up our driveway, tore up everything like that. So I'm the spokesman. I'm probably the youngest or second youngest one in our building. They're just worried about the traffic. They're worried about the noise and the hours. Beside that, I looked at their parking thing. Can you pull that up? Can I just show one thing just to see if it would make a difference? Instead of going 4 cars, because if they're having 150 people there for a concert, which would be amazing, there's no way Cass Avenue's not going to be congested right there, because anywhere from 4 to 6 when it's normal traffic, and the light by the firehouse, there's cars backed up almost all the way to Ogden. And I live it and I see it, so, anyone else can come out and do a thing. But if they did something, and a thought, if they let the cars come all the way around and made that a walkway and let them come into there, now you'd have 30 cars into the property, and you would alleviate even more stuff.
Point well taken.
Just trying to be like a good neighbor, because I think
Yeah.
it would be an amazing thing to have. My children were kind of in that kind of stuff growing up, friends, family. So we want to be a good neighbor. It's just like maybe some of the hours, like they were saying 10 o'clock, when you got 70 and 80-year-olds sleeping across the street, if they can do anything inside just to keep the noise kind of. I know it's hard on, like when they have the concert part, I mean, it's a concert, I'll sit out on the balcony, because my windows look right in their window, so maybe I can get a peek, but that's the only concerns that they had, was just that traffic and just the hours. Like she said, in the summer, 3 months, it'll be 10 o'clock at night, and by the time people get out of there, it's 10:30, 11. A lot of them people are in bed at 8 and 9. I don't go to 10:30 or 11, so I feel like an old timer. So. But that's the only thing they wanted me to say. That's the only thing they were worried about. They couldn't be here tonight. So, but I wish them luck. I hope they get it. Just a couple little things to be a good neighbor, and we'll be great.
Well, thank you for those comments, and thank you for coming. And it's a point well taken about the traffic
and I didn't even
flow.
know if they wouldn't have pulled it up there.
If it's backing up where
Sorry.
people are having to wait on Cass, that's going to be problematic.
And they come so fast, because even with the car rental place right there, Enterprise, if you see how many times they sit there and trying to get in and out of that, and it backs up, and how many times I see people almost get clobbered right there. And I would hate for some parent with their child in the car sitting there waiting to get in that, and some guy's not paying attention and come flying on Cass and hit them, then it's, that's the last thing we need.
You bet.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman, it's a point well taken.
Thank you.
You've already said
Please, to the podium.
it's a point well taken about the traffic. That's not a problem to make that a condition. That's a great idea. So everyone, there's no problem with that.
Well, that would certainly prevent a backup on
100%.
Cass, but by going all the
Right.
way around and unloading there at the,
That could be a condition, to have them go straight back, come around the side to drop everyone off for the performances. That's not a problem.
One thing.
please.
It did say 10 PM on our summer hours. Rehearsals and programming typically concludes at 9 o'clock. That last hour is the staff cleaning up. So a little bit of a.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, totally. We like to get off,
Sure. Welcome back.
Kevin Rohde, 517 Revere. I want to speak to one point about the noise level, and we've been dropping off our daughter and picking up our daughter at all hours, prior to her performances and practices and afterwards, and I kind of say that it is never, ever loud when there's no honking, there's people yelling, there's no, it is almost silent when we pick up the kids. And that goes for all the parents. So I can say that there really is there's no cacophony at pick up and drop off.
Yeah, because,
You can stay there, we can have a conversation. I think they were just worried about, like, if you have a concert and it's 10 o'clock at night and the concert's loud, and then, again, 150 people are leaving at one time, right? Because you have 150, probably more, because if it's my daughter, there's going to be mom and dad want to get in there, right? So there's going to be a ton of cars, there's going to be overflow parking. That's the only thing they were worried about, some of the late night. But I also tell them it's only going to be 6 times a year, 3 on weekends too, so maybe that'll alleviate some of the things too. So that's the reason they wanted me to come here. So I was just trying to let everyone know every concern, so if there's a way to fix them, because we do not want you to not get there.
Right.
We're all in favor of
'Cause it's-
you being there, and we're across, there can't be anyone closer to you. We're closer than the houses behind you,
Yeah.
if you measure it. So we're hoping. because nothing's been there, and anything to help the community is a great thing. You're doing a great thing.
All right,
So, thank you.
thank you. All right, is there anyone else present? Good evening, ma'am.
My name is Laurel Rugen, and I live on the block behind. I live at 513 North Grant. So from my backyard, I can see all this. My next-door neighbors have the bank behind their home. One of my concerns is that fence has been broken back there, even when the bank was there. I'd sit in my backyard, and people would come wandering back there, and I'm like, this is a residential area. Oh, and it's still broken. I went and looked today. Somebody had tried
Is this
to,
fence between your property and,
it's the
Parking lot.
next door neighbors, but they came like walking over by mine, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
you can't be here. That my concern is about if it's gonna be, the fencing gonna be fixed properly, because all the houses around there, there's other parts that don't have some fencing. Being 522, my question is about 522, but it was like, I was wondering what they were planning to do with 522. I understand the rezoning part, that makes a lot of sense because of, with Phillips
Sure.
and everything. But I'm just concerned that people are, going to think that, yeah, the fencing isn't very stable back there, that they're gonna wander onto our properties. And the noise level too, because I do have, I'm like the youngster and with some of my neighbors with the noise level and everything, so.
is this fencing on, behind 522 or?
Behind
520?
520, the bank,
Okay.
but
all right.
it's. And it was
Separating the parking lot, the end of the parking lot
End of the
property, and
parking
then
lot.
the backyards.
in our backyards. So I'm just kind of concerned with some
Sure.
of that and with the noise level too and everything. And also the traffic because of the proximity near, that it's by Cass and Ogden, so. Just had a few questions. I mean, just want to keep everybody safe, but the fact that I've seen people wander, even when the bank was still running, just wandering, and it's like, whoa, So, and just for safety's sake all the way around for everybody, so.
Ms. Lamoureux, would you like to address that question?
Yeah, sure. So specifically with regards to the fence, we'd be more than happy to either repair it or put in a new fence that was suitable for the property and for the neighbors behind us.
Yeah, because I see,
Yeah.
there was one spot, I went and looked today, just to see that my neighbors had tried to put in something and somebody ripped it down again. So it's like,
I think too, I mean, the property has been vacant for so long, so I do wonder if maybe some people are potentially
Yeah, with
wandering around there. So I think
Yeah.
with a use in the building, potentially there would be more supervision and more awareness that, we can't be
Right.
trespassing
Right.
in areas that we're not supposed to be in.
especially with everything going on nowadays,
100%.
it's
Yes.
scary, so.
Yes, I do want to just touch on the noise level, as Mr. Rohde sort of expressed. I want to ensure everyone that we are not like a rock concert type of situation. We're doing plays and musicals, so the sound will be contained to the building. You will not be able to hear anything that is going on inside the building in the exterior of the building, or like outside of the building, and certainly not to the extent of disrupting any neighbors. And then, like I said, most of our shows begin. If we're doing an evening show, typically the start time is 7 o'clock, and those shows are typically, most of the shows that we do cater to, middle school and younger. So we do junior version shows, they're an hour in length. So they'll be ending around 8:30, and people typically leave in a very respectful manner. The spaces that we've used in the past 24 years, have included some different church spaces that are right within residential neighborhoods. And in the past 24 years, we have never once had any sort of complaint from any neighbors or anyone at the church or elsewhere saying that we've caused any disruptions.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And I was just curious, that's
Yeah.
all about certain things, and
Absolutely.
I was curious about what you were planning to do with 522. I mean, as a vacant lot, looks fine to me. I mean, I saw woodpeckers there today and everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's nice to try to get your little patches of green where you can.
Oh, totally.
So-
I don't know what the plans are for that space. We have no plans for that parcel of
Okay,
land.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was
just
still-
curious, but yeah, as far as zoning, I totally understand it with
Yeah,
that. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I just want to note one thing, because there is an approved site plan attached to this property. There's no requirement for that fence to be there on that site plan. So if you are doing any requirements, it would be placed as a condition. Just a
Understood.
note.
That's not an issue.
Anyone else from the? Yes, please.
I'm Don Phillip, representing Phillips Flowers and the owner of that vacant lot that everybody likes so much. We don't have any immediate plans for it, but like most people, we had the opportunity to pick up the surrounding property, and therefore we had the opportunity to control whether we could ever expand it. And there are many times when we wish we had parking there, but we found its development to be basically cost prohibitive. So at this time, we'd like to do it, and if we could partner with somebody to help us do it, and Salt Creek Surgical Center has expressed similar things. So we wouldn't mind improving it. We certainly would be happy to fix the fence. And frankly, we don't tromp back there very often ourselves, except when the landscapers cut the weeds. So it's very possible that we've not been as diligent as we should be to fix the fence if we should do so. So I'll go back there tomorrow and see what's going on. But we don't have any immediate plans. However, it would be great, and we'd be happy to do some short-term leasing. And we're basically a morning and daytime operator. These guys are generally, especially your performances are in the evening, so it would be a good marriage in terms of effective use of the property. So we'd be in favor in general of cleaning up the zoning as it goes, I guess, south on Cass Avenue from Ogden, because then it'd be all consistent and wouldn't be quite so confusing in this little spotty stuff that's happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Last chance. Let's go to the commissioners. Commissioner Lavoy.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for your really nice presentation, and also bringing such a great facility to Westmont. And I just can't say how warm and fuzzy I feel about it. I mean, it's something that's really good for our kids, really good for the whole community. I really see it as an ideal adaptive reuse of a building. I too had the concerns about the making a change to the site, but we weren't faced with a site plan approval here. We're only allowed to really look at what we have and what's been presented. So being from the background that I come from, yes, to increase the stacking, if you will, of that counterclockwise circulation on the site, to add that crossover would certainly bring traffic off of Cass Avenue during those long weekends, those 6 weekends, and that's really my only concern, really. I really want to see this happen, but what I do see happening, based on my experience, is that regardless of what the code says, regardless of what the traffic engineer's report says, when we have 192 seats in the auditorium, a lot of those seats will be taken up by mom and dad coming to see their kids. That means that there's going to be 96 cars required to be parked in 48 spaces. So I think regardless of to make your BAM hugely successful here, there are so many opportunities in our community, and our community is full of people like our owner of Phillips around, including the library, the park district, the businesses across Ogden Avenue, Aldi's, there's parking lots that are empty all night long that you could use, and I'm sure that with a little more work, you could actually make that happen, because if it doesn't happen, now we've got a traffic nightmare on Cass Avenue because there's nowhere else to park. They're gonna pull in, there won't be parking available, and they're gonna pull right back out. And maybe they don't even attend, and we don't want that to happen. So I think that if you take this and address it from a proactive standpoint and address this now would be to your benefit. I know what the code says, but I know what reality is too. And I know that if I pull in there to watch my neighbor's performance, chances are that I won't be able to park there. So, because it'll be taken up, and we have, not only that, but we have an upstairs, is the upstairs going to be occupied doing things while these performances are going on? No. But there are going to be other staff there. There's going to be other performers there, in addition to mom and dad coming, and other people coming, because I know when my family goes to performance like that, not only do we go, but my entire family goes, so just to see our kids. And I think that's a thing in Westmont too, that we're all really family-oriented, and we'd like to see that happen. So I would like to see something put in place so you don't have problems. And you're a huge success in this town, which is, I fully expect. But, you know, we need to address these things ahead of time, because we're here because all of our eyes, you know, are going to contribute to a better solution. And I'm very supportive of both apps. I'm not supportive of the finding of fact when we say that adequate parking is available on site. It's just not. It's just not. To me, it's not. I didn't go like Scott and go look in the rule book and say that when we wrote this down 40 years ago, and that's probably when it happened, that it says it's adequate. Well, I know reality, and reality is that that's not adequate. And I take the comments received from our neighbors, you know, to heart, and I want to make it all good for everybody, and I want to make sure that gets addressed. So I'm very supportive. I know there were some conflicts in the report about the number of seats and the number of, you know, there's one page says one thing, one page says the other. But I know what the ultimate thing is going to happen is those 6 weekends is going to be a nightmare. So I want to support the program and support the two the cases before us, and I don't really have any other questions other than that circulation pattern. Maybe your traffic engineer could chime in if he thinks, I think it would change the directional flow if you did that, because I would have an ingress out on the north access opposed to just an ingress. So if you do that and you add that drive, you want to circulate, come around your drop-off and go back out to Cass without coming back around. So you want to have that as two-way on the north side. Your comments?
Yeah, sure. Andrew Bowen, Callaway Inc. First, about circulation. One thing I want to note is that a lot of the pickup and drop-off is related to everyday use when they have classes and parents come through. During big events, most of those people are coming and parking. So on those days when there's lots of people arriving at the site, they're not circulating to drop kids off. There's nothing like that. They are arriving, parking in
I
spaces.
bring my mother and my grandmother, and
Yeah.
they're in wheelchairs and they're walkers.
There's some,
and-
it's
yeah,
true.
So, yeah, there's going to be
But
that.
it's just, it's not 100, it's not 150 people.
Understood.
Yeah, second is having one directional flow is always a better alternative, just for ease of use and for understanding of drivers, right? If they have the two-way, some of them will not understand, they can go out and then we'll get extra congestion. So having a single direction of flow is generally better so that drivers know which way they should be moving.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Can I speak on parking as well? Yeah, we looked in the study, and in our parking findings, we said that everyday use can be accommodated very easily, and we believe that to be true. And for the bigger events, we looked at if the entire auditorium was filled with 150 people, that's every seat, and there was additional staff on site. This is assuming that people who come to view are in vehicles at an occupancy rate of 2.5 seats per car. So that's less than 3 people per car, right? That's mom, dad, and half a kid. So that's a lower number. Even then, you're only going to have 20 overflow spaces at that point, overflow cars, right? There's 48 spaces on site, and so that's 20 extra people.
I get that, but your report says 150, the site plan says 192. That's where there's conflicts in the information submitted to us.
Can I?
One spot says 192, and one spot in your report says 150.
Can I touch on that? So when they submitted their application, they provided 2 floor plans for the auditorium. So what our staff did was we took whatever the most extreme amount was to make sure they'd still be in compliance with the code for parking. It sounds like they made the decision to go down in the number of seats since this presentation. So that might be why there's
I want the number to go up. Just secure the parking and you're done.
Right, that's the idea too, that's what I said about the conditions.
I'm not really worried about the inconsistencies with the number, no.
The 150 is really what's in the main place, and always has been in the main place. The other number comes from an auditorium upstairs, but as the question was asked, there's never 2 shows going on at the same time.
There you go.
So it truly is a 150-person main auditorium.
Yeah.
The spots came
yeah.
from upstairs.
I'm not worried about the deets.
Right. But I just wanted you to
I just
know
want to
that-
make sure you're successful. I'm very supportive of
If I said the
the
condition
case
can be
and,
that we work it out, because we were using a number less than
yeah.
the village code, and still we're compliant at 150. And we agreed with you, and we said if we have a problem, we would be willing to strike part of the area where even the drive-through is at, and to add more spaces on site if needed.
I got news for you.
He's got to go, you need to go to the microphone.
I'm sorry, because you're on the television, I'm sorry.
I have news for you. Our code isn't very updated, okay? I'm just saying from a practical
I
standpoint.
couldn't agree with you more, that's why
There
I
you
put the
are,
condition
okay?
on there, even though I
Want
said,
them to be successful.
Right.
And on those days.
I started by saying even though they're compliant, quote-unquote, by code, we agreed to the condition because I do think that something needs to be done.
We are on the same page. Mr. Chair, I have no other questions. I'm supportive of the application.
Thank you. Commissioner Zakari, what say ye?
What say ye? Well, first, I just want to say congrats. It sounds like you guys have just a phenomenal operation. And yeah, my only concerns were around those nights that you have performances. But it sounds like you guys are willing to work and put a condition in place to just secure additional parking. Other than that, I think Commissioner Lavoie spoke to a lot of the same concerns I had. I'm super supportive of it. You know, somebody who has 3 daughters here in town, I would love to see something like this in town.
Thank you. Commissioner Peterson.
Melanie, I just want to say it's such a pleasure to meet someone who is so passionate about what they do. That's not the norm too much nowadays. The presentation was great. I personally had never heard of this. I grew up in Westmont, and I didn't know places like this existed, let alone, so close. I wish I was younger, but I think that's the perfect building, and being a lifelong resident, I'm kind of proud that you, for whatever reason, chose Westmont to settle your roots, and I think it's going to be a great addition to to Westmont, and there's some issues with the traffic, but from living here, there's issues with traffic everywhere in town, so it's not like this is, the traffic is terrible, but what are you going to do? But I'm very supportive of this. I really like this. It's a real pleasure to hear your story, which is so unique. So yeah, I'm a go. I like it. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one quick question for staff about that house to the south. is that an active, is that sitting empty? That's not that has not been a residential property for a long time. I'm thinking of the 100 feet.
I don't know if, and we'd have to review like business licensing records to see if there's a business attached to that property or not. My research didn't go that far south to the neighboring property just because it wasn't part of the proposed project. I do know there is a house there that looks like a single-family house, but I don't know if there's a business running.
Are you talking about the 100 feet separation
Yes.
requirement?
Yeah.
So it's from a residential district?
Yes.
And the property's not zoned residential?
Correct.
Despite the fact that it has a single-family house on it?
Oh, okay. I thought it was building to building at any rate, but, so it's not zoned residential, so it doesn't matter.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah, it's
Copy
OR1,
that.
I think.
And Ms. Lamoureux, one question about when you are you've been in Hinsdale for years and years. Tell us, I'm curious about your performance parking situation there with the number of cars and parking availability, because it's been a concern here.
Yeah, well, and I just want to alleviate any concern, because if there is a parking issue, that will be a business problem that we would have to manage, and that would hurt our business. And so we will do everything ahead of time to ensure that our customers have a place to park when they come to see their children. Because I get emails from parents all the time, and I definitely don't want to have that to be a concern of our patrons coming to our shows. So I think we've heard from a variety of people, and the traffic statement that was conducted by KLOA. And I believe that for the day-to-day operations, what we do have on site is more than sufficient. I think additional parking on site can be a possibility. You can't really tell in this picture, but both of the drive-through lanes are pretty wide, and it's possible we'd have to have our architect examine it to add some parallel parking, and then around the ATM drive-through as well. And then, as we've mentioned, conversations have been started with our, hopefully our next door neighbors about some shared parking, and we would ensure that additional conversations are had to maximize the parking that we would want to have for all of our students and their families. And now I forgot the actual question that you asked me.
Well, I think that it
Okay.
was just your experience in Hinsdale with regard to parking.
Yes,
and,
we've been okay. The smallest venue in terms of like parking restraint was when we did performances out of the Hinsdale United Methodist Church, and the parking lot would fill up. There would also often be church activities going on at the same time that we were having performances. People figured it out. I never received any issues or complaints regarding parking. Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And just so you know, Mr. Chairman, that property that she's speaking about in Hinsdale is on 55th Street. It's on a busy street. It's the same kind of thing. That the church that they utilize in Hinsdale is right on 55th and Oak.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the concert there. All right, well, thank you. I think at this point, the chair is satisfied. I would entertain a motion to approve under new business public hearing PZC 004-2024, request by BAM Theater and Grant Partners for the following: a map amendment request to rezone from Office Research 1 District to a B2 General Business District.
So moved. Lavoy.
Second, Zakiri.
Have motion and second. Discussion, questions, seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Lavoy,
Aye. Yes.
Commissioner Zakiri,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson votes yes, and Chairperson Carmichael?
Yes. And under public hearing PCC 005-2024, request by BAM Theater and Old National Bank for the following. First, a map amendment request to rezone from Office Research 1 District to B2 General Business District.
So moved. Lavoy.
Second, Zakiri.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion, questions on the item? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Zakiri?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson votes yes. Commissioner Lavoy?
Yes.
And Chairperson Carmichael?
Yes. And secondly, a special use permit request for a performing arts studio. Do I have a motion?
Don't move, Lavoy.
Second, Security.
A motion to approve and a second. Discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson votes yes. Commissioner Lavoy?
Yes.
Commissioner Zakiri?
Aye. Yes.
Chairperson Carmichael?
Yes. Well, there you have it, folks. You have our recommendation, and it'll go forward to the village board. Staff will notify you when you're scheduled for that, and welcome to Westmont. It's very exciting.
Mr. Chairman.
But before, let's comment from our village attorney.
I know there were discussions and comments from the applicant's attorney about potential conditions on the
Yes.
special use approval. I don't know if there was any interest in addressing parking or any of the other items that were raised as potential conditions. I had notes, one was about the fence, but is the fence on the other, not the theater property, but the
522,
fence is on?
which has no site plans attached to it. 520 has the site plan that does not have a fence required there.
Okay, so the special use is for 520, which is where there's no fence.
Correct.
So you can impose special conditions on a special use permit for that property, but you can't address the fence, which is on the other
Understood.
property.
Yeah, Mr. Zemanek, I just feel that based on the rebuttal in particular from the applicant, that was a very strong indication from them that they realize that these issues are important to their business operations. And I came in tonight thinking that we should add that as a condition, but based on their testimony, I did not want to add that to their approval.
And I agree with that as well.
Yeah, between the fence and regarding parking, I mean, I think that for me, they're being extremely proactive in regards to addressing any type of issues. I don't think they want parking issues for their business. I mean, best case scenario, they are always sold out every performance, and they have to deal with it. Otherwise, they're not going to have happy patrons. So,
Great. Just for the record,
yeah.
clear, since it was mentioned. Thank you.
I mean, the fact you've gone to KOLA and Mr. Phillip, you showing up tonight, I mean, this is really quite a presentation, and I don't think anything extra is required. So there you have it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We'll try to get you scheduled for next week's village board, just to give you a heads up, and any residents that want to be at that meeting.
Cool. Yeah, appreciate it.
Oh, that's good. You're all
Well,
good.
thank you very much for coming, sir. Next item on the agenda is open forum. Public comment rules procedures set forth, Chapter 2, Section 2-66 of the Westmont Code of Ordinances. Anyone present who would like to address this commission on any item that's not on tonight's agenda, please step forward. Okay. Seeing none, next item is miscellaneous items. Does anyone have anything they'd like to?
Did we vote on the minutes from last week? I think you skipped over that.
Did we what?
Did we vote
I think
on the
we
minutes?
raised our hand.
I believe he did a
all at once.
vote,
Oh,
which has been done before.
okay. I just wanted to make sure you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't do that.
Yeah.
right? So-
On the approval of minutes from?
The minutes from last, yeah.
last week.
Yeah, we did
I was sleeping.
but you voted.
Sleep with my hand up.
Yeah, subconsciously.
Scott, did you want to announce that
Yes.
the time?
So we're gonna keep the same time for next month's in May meeting for the 7 PM. It's gonna be consistent.
This is the consideration for a 6 o'clock for moving
Correct.
this meeting to 6 PM instead of 7.
Yeah.
Next month, it'll still be 7.
Correct, and
Possibility of,
yeah, the change in June at the earliest. Doesn't mean we're going to at that time. That is the earliest. And we will notify you directly via email.
Got it.
Okay.
I also
I'd be
want.
in favor of 7 still, but that's, you know, you guys don't want to take the
Understood.
new guy into consideration.
Understood.
Additionally, just want to note, because we had people absent today, if you are not going to make a meeting, please let me or Jamie Hoffman know, either phone or email, just in advance, so we know. That's it.
Okay, thank you. The next meeting is scheduled for the second Tuesday of May. That's the 8th of May at 7 PM. And,
Can I go a step further than that?
but of course,
You know, these meetings, there's a lot of people here. There's attorneys here, there's consultants here, there's people here from the audience, there's applicants here. They're here, they've dedicated their time, they've prepared the report. You know, we owe it to them, if we're not gonna be here, to make sure that you're aware. So it is really important that you do that, because if we don't have a quorum, they brought all these people for nothing.
it's not that there was no notifications, but 2 people notified me.
Yeah.
And another person notified Jamie. So we think it's better that everyone notify
Yeah, no,
staff.
I'm just expressing the importance of it, no matter how it gets done.
Right.
It's really important to do that.
And we're going to send out another email, just because we have people absent, so they know as
Yeah.
well.
Right. Okay, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, Security.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Here. This meeting is adjourned at 8:20.